Hi, this is the Australian Aura Guy. This is a continuation of our sessions on auras. In the first session, we covered off what an aura was, in as much as it's a reflection of the soul. It's how people can be perceived on a more metaphysical level. And then we looked at colour, what the colours of the aura can be, what they can indicate, and how to interpret that. And in this session, we'd like to address the cut and the clarity of the aura. And by that, I mean, when you look at a colour of an aura, how do we go beyond? How do we look at what's more information for it? So we do that by looking at the cut of the aura, and by that I mean, how sharp is the aura? Does it stand out? I find that relates to the time frame. So if you have a very sharp, defined aura, if our aura colour, for example, is blue, on a dark blue, that would be indicative of physical balance. And if it was very sharp and very defined and had a lot of edges to it, then I would say that that's a time frame, and that's the sharper it is, the closer or more current the aura is. So if I saw, for example, a blue square and it was well defined and it was a deeper colour, then I would say that's something that's happening now. Something that can be helpful to think about when you're reading auras is any associated imagery with it. As I said in our last session on colours, the imagery I often get with a dark blue aura is peaceful. It's someone in the middle of the ocean and they're just floating there. Obviously they're supported, obviously they're safe, but they're just floating in the middle of the ocean, letting the water wash over them, and they're just at peace. So we can look at the aura and say, is it sharp? Or we can say, is it misty? Is it cloudy? What form does it take? And what do you understand from that form? And by different forms, what I mean is that sometimes you can see an aura and it's not sharp, and it's woven in together and it's more misty. And so I often read misty can be a delay or a blockage. It can also be shimmering, so it can also almost, I like to think of it as being coming off a heat haze, so off the road. So you see this hazy, misty aura. And so what we really want to understand is when we're looking at the cut, we're looking at a time frame, and when we're looking for clarity, we want to understand what the strength it is, what strength it is. So we want to understand how strong is the aura. Cut and clarity often go hand in hand simply because it'll give you a time frame, and then it'll also give you more of a power behind it. So is it something that's coming up? Is it something that's far away? How do we understand and interpret it? And I often find that different people interpret it different ways. So other effects that I've seen can be muted colours. So you might have, example for me, if I see a lime green, that to me transfers as more of a muted forest green. It's more of a bit, it's not quite there. So I would read forest green being metaphysical balance, and lime green as being not quite there. Not at that right point yet. It can also be sparkling, and I like to think of a sparkling aura like almost little bubbles coming through it, it's almost like a glass of champagne, really, and it's a celebration, and it's positive, and it's great. We also think about the form. So we look at, is it coming through as a particular shape? What does that shape mean to you? Does it come through with a sound? Sometimes you can have sounds with auras. Sometimes I might hear flutes, and flutes are a childish, positive energy, which is, it's almost a Brady Bunch stairs music. Sometimes I get the opening chord from Hard Day's Night from the Beatles, and that to me is chaos. Just that sound, that power is just bang right there. Sometimes you can have drums. Drums are very self-focused, very self-centered, can be quite egotistical, and by that it's because it's the drumming sound, it's the heartbeat, but it's also the overwhelming of it all. So it's the driving of it. It's using someone's sense of self to drive them through things. Sometimes there can be bass guitar. That's more peaceful, because I find that one's more metaphysically aligned. It's about being the rhythm of the universe. You've got the bass drum that drives the ego, but you've got the bass guitar that gives you that sense of waiting for everything else to pull itself together. You can have trumpets. Trumpets are urgent, are intense. So if you saw a red aura with trumpets associated with it, that to me would be very urgent passion. And by that I mean it's very intense, very consuming, more so than usual. You can have piano, which quite often will come through in either a red or a dark blue or a green aura. Piano is very calm and measured, and so it can be that calming love, that calming physical balance, or the calming metaphysical balance. You can also have trombones, which I often find are just indicative of sadness. The wah wah sound, but that also says to me help is needed with that. So that's something that I always try and pick up on, simply because it's another way to recognise that someone may need your assistance. And sounds are not always present in every aura. It's more a case of it's an additional intensifier. It's something else you can use. And for you, it might be something different. It might be you get a particular feeling, or you get a particular, as in, a more tactile sense for you when you read auras. But the sounds can be there as well. So what you want to understand when you're looking at the cut and the clarity of the aura is cut relating to time frames and clarity relating to strength. And so what we're trying to do there is we're trying to assess how soon or how far away something is impacting this person, and how much of a driver will it be? Will it be something that consumes them, or something that is more to be aware of? So that's a good little primer. But in the next section, we'll be looking at complement and context. So we'll be looking to understand what happens when you see multiple colours, and more importantly, how do we give a level of understanding to those colours once we work off the cut and the clarity as well. As again, thank you so very much for your attention and for your support, and I look forward to sharing the next aura reading lesson with you. Thanks.